Wednesday.
Sorry.
We're not on the agenda tonight.
No.
So we're coming out of recess at 8:10 on Monday, March 10th, after the special town meeting. I want to remind everyone that there are 5 audio recording devices and 1 video recording device. And we're ready for our scheduled appointments. So, Chief Wilder, you've got a couple of reserve officers.
I do. Only one is here tonight. The other one, I haven't checked my message. I just got one from Florida at 6:20 tonight.
You did?
Yeah.
You have a good time? Jealous.
So I haven't checked my messages, but he has a wife that's about a week overdue for their first baby. I'm guessing that he's probably tired.
That's all right.
So anyway, this is Brett Matusko.
Brett, nice to meet you.
You too.
You don't look much like the old man.
So I'd like to bring him forward to the select board and ask to make him police officer fresh.
So that'd be appointing him to a reserve officer. How about the other candidate, even though he's not here?
Yes, I'd like him appointed also. He's, you may know him, Greg DeKoschak. He's Mike DeKoschak's son. That's Mike from Ashfield.
And what's your name? I didn't hear.
Brett Matusko.
Mike is Greg is an EMT in Charlemont. He's active on Charlemont Police Department. This will be his first stop department.
You advertised,
Yes, we have.
and you interviewed how many candidates?
I interviewed about 6, and then whittled it down from there.
Okay, you had more applications?
Yes, we have about 12.
Good. It's nice to have something to choose from.
Yep, we had a great calling. We have a lot more than I expected.
So, how many, any idea on scheduling, on what you're figuring you're going to do? Just
Well, when they're done training, and Greg's mostly area familiarization, but once they get all done with that, Greg is going to work Sunday during the day, and Brett here is going to work Saturday for him. 6-hour shifts.
No questions. Congratulations and thanks for applying.
Thank you. No problem.
Do I need to bring Greg in front of you? No? Okay. All right.
I'll make a motion to appoint Brett Matusko and Greg DeKoschak as reserve officers to the Ashfield Police Department.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now, we failed to appoint Betty LaShure
Okay.
as a clerk. How's that working out? It's helping you stay out on patrol?
Yep, she's doing wonderful. She's getting the words down. We got to work on getting them into the computer, but we're getting there.
We need to, I'm going to ask you to get together with Mary at some point. And, it was brought to our attention a couple of weeks ago that probably there should be a job description. So if you could find 20 minutes or a half hour, just get your thoughts together and we'll have something. But this, when I made the motion to have an administrator help you, the idea is that we were going to work through this period and see what the need was.
Right.
And so I'm glad that you're using Betty. But I would like to make a motion that we appoint Elizabeth LaShure as an administrative assistant for the police department.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Who's running back there? Who's voting back there? Does that mean you're running for a position, Warren?
Yeah, I was going to run for school committee.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Anything else for us, Chief, while you've got the floor?
No, that's it. Everything very running smoothly. I think the transition from Chief Droney to myself is running very well.
I haven't heard anything else. All right. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Heather. Is Heather here? Come on.
Where am I supposed to stand?
You can sit right over. You can sit right over here.
Sit?
Right.
Come on. Do I have to be on that? Okay. Oh yeah, Jen Bisbee too.
Hi, Jen.
She's the president. We are here because we want to find out, we're from the Hilltown Junior Olympics. And we're here to see if there's any interest, actually have any interest in joining us. Plainfield is already in it, Chesterfield's in it, Ocean's in it, Cummings in it, Worthington's in it.
Just about everybody that's in the Little League.
Pretty much, yeah. So we're coming to ask you guys to see if there would be any interest in Ashfield joining us. Big problem that Plainfield is having is kids. We have a lack of kids, and we want to be able to join and keep going with this. And you know, Plainfield kids go with Ashfield kids at Sanderson, and we just thought if you guys would be interested in supporting this for us, or going in. Do you guys have
There's a cure for a shortage of kids, but that probably should have happened years ago.
Yeah, I did my part. I had two, so I'm good. I'm okay. So we're just asking if you guys would be interested in doing it. Financial-wise, it's roughly about $5 a kid. And what that does is that takes care of medals. They get lunch on the day. One day. It's in September.
Last September, or last Saturday in September.
Yep. I know from this experience, because I'm obviously represented for Plainfield, when I put out the, not applications, but what am I trying to say? The forms, the sign-up slips. Yeah, permission slips. All the Ashfield kids are always asking me, how come we Ashfield can't do it? How come? And I said, well, we'll get into it. So you guys have never joined, and I just didn't know if there's any interest in you guys want to participate. I know the kids want to do it, but we have to get your...
Okay, well, how are the other towns participating? I mean, I really don't see where we have to give permission. I would think if the parents give permission, that would be the thing.
Right, but we need you guys,
Do you need a community sponsor, or do you need
Typically what it is we have 1 to 2 representatives from the town, from each town, that will, because we have a committee that we meet on a regular basis. Typically the town pays the $5 per child, and what we usually do is we rotate town to town on where the event is going to happen. So every year it's in a different town.
Ashfield wouldn't have to do it this year. Plainfield did it a couple of years ago. You guys did it. This year it's going to be in Windsor.
It's a rotated basis.
so the select board appoints somebody, or somebody steps forward to be appointed to be our representative? Is that it?
Basically, yeah.
Basically, it's usually out of a rec committee, or, but I don't know what you guys have for committees.
We got a slew of committees. but I can't begin to tell you which one we would throw this onto.
Yeah. Unless you have to make up a new one. I know there used to be a youth committee of some sort. I don't know if that would be coming back, or...
Reaching way back.
I know, I just, you know.
So that's how it's typically run, is the town makes the appropriation
Yep.
to cover the entry fee for the...
For each child, yeah.
Okay. Another thing to budget maybe, huh?
So whatever you guys want to do, I probably could maybe find somebody to help me out, because I would be represented. I mean, it would be nice to have 2 from Ashfield, but
1 to 2.
1 to 2, yeah. But if they want to work with me, we could
So
do
that
it.
they work in teams? Like, would it be a Sanderson Academy team?
That's what I'm thinking. If you guys go for it, I was thinking that Plainfield and Ashfield come together, so it'd just be 1 representative from Ashfield, 1 representative from Plainfield, and we would work. Yeah, we would work together. Yeah.
I bet from the way you're talking, you already know who the volunteer would be.
No, I don't have a clue. No, I mean, I have ideas of like,
you have any questions?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have kids at that age now, so can you just tell me what they do and what kind of commitment there is from the kids?
Sure. Ages 5 to 14.
5 to 14.
Throughout the day, they're asked to participate in it's usually 4 events per age group. They're divided into 5 different age groups, and typically they do horseshoes, beanbag, depending on their age group, baseball throw,
7-yard dash.
yeah, 70-yard dash, 40-yard dash, running long jump, standing broad jump,
Basketball.
basketball, soccer kick.
Summertime?
It's always in September. It's the last Saturday of September. Always.
So is it a one-time, do they get together and practice every week?
They can,
They
we've
can.
never done it. Some towns have, but we never actually.
But it's usually just one weekend,
It's just one day. Just
one day.
One day, that's all it is. Rain or shine, snow.
And what kind of participation you get in the playing field? Just more or less? How many kids?
When I started, I'm gonna age myself again, but anyways, when I started, probably maybe 30 or so. Now we're down to maybe 10.
And how about the other times? About
There
the
are
same?
issues too, as far as,
Yeah, and it's all depending on, because the ratio of kids are not there so much anymore. We're trying to build it back up. Goshen typically gets anywhere between 30 and 50, depending on the age groups. Chesterfield's about the same. Cummington had about 35 kids this year, and Windsor has about 10 because they don't have a lot.
And what age group are they?
5 to 14.
and the other thing that
So
we've
it's
got.
like kindergarten to 8th grade is about
Yeah.
what your age group.
No bobsledding,
No, no skeleton, no bone.
And the purpose is to foster competitive spirit, or what?
It's to have fun.
No, I know, but having fun means getting together every weekend maybe or
Yeah.
something, but it's a one-time shot.
Yeah.
And then what,
Team building, because they do team events at the
at the end, that's what I was gonna say.
at the end of the day.
Oh, they do
too.
team events.
Yeah.
Yes, they will do team events.
And if we don't have enough kids for the town, we can't participate, and that really bums the kids out. It's another reason why I'm kind of reaching out to get more kids, so that,
And they do
Playing
a
field game.
obstacle course, a tug of war, and a relay for the team events.
Would it be easy enough for you to prepare a little paragraph, just a paragraph that defines the mission of this
Oh, absolutely.
either committee or whatever it is? How would we handle that? Would we have to have a minimum of 3 people? Would it have to be a town-sanctioned sort of thing that has to follow open meeting law and all that stuff?
I don't know. You've got me.
We'd have to look
It
into
really
that.
seems like it's a volunteer effort that we would be just supporting.
Yeah.
Here's my question. Special Olympics is a much bigger organization. I mean, so you're getting some guidance from a much larger organization than the towns that you have
No,
right
we're
here.
not- It's not special.
I'm sorry, not
It's
special.
junior.
Junior Olympics.
People always get that confused. It's just a junior Olympics. It was started 35 years ago just by a man coming in that just wanted the kids to participate and get together.
You know, it makes sense that if the town just contributed to this without a formal involvement, it might make sense. You know what I'm saying? It's a question.
Well, I think the question in front of, I mean, there's these things that need to be worked out, but as far as us supporting activities for the youth, I mean, that's something I could agree on to at least try to get it on the warrant, to budget for the money.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Is that agreeable to you?
I think it is, yeah.
and I could search for a representative unless you guys have somebody, if you guys are interested.
I think there is an interest here.
Okay. That'd be
We
great.
need to do some homework and
Mm-hmm.
such.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to make it too complicated.
Right,
It
right.
sounds like it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Like Plainfield, we have a rec committee person on that, and we do appropriate money for this budget and everything, so I guess it's the financial end that's the problem that you guys would have to come in.
We would try to solve that problem. We'd try to figure out a way to make it work, if we could.
Yep.
How about, does anybody ever think about, and here I am complicating it when I just said I didn't want to, does anybody ever talk about liability?
We ask them to sign a permission form, so it does not hold anybody liable.
So it's a permission and release form.
Yeah. That's what we hand out to all the kids.
And they cannot participate unless that form is signed, so it holds nobody liable.
I'll make a motion that the select board support the Junior Olympics by preparing a warrant article to go on annual town meeting.
Second that.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. How's that?
Perfect. That's great.
Can't always take care of people on their first time in.
Well, we greatly appreciate it. We'll be in touch.
Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to pass annual town meeting.
No, I know there could be issues. I
I mean,
understand
the
that.
ones we argue about are normally under $300.
Oh, no.
Discussion right there.
Great.
So ask for more, Heather.
Yeah. All right. All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Camera.
Too late.
I know, could you take that cap off of me?
All right.
Night, Heather.
David.
Yes, I will see you Wednesday.
David Cole. Is he?
I don't see him.
Oh, David Cordes, he isn't going to be here, but his recommendation remains the same. Back to
His recommendation on?
on the appointment of
Tom Henry?
John Henry as the fifth member of the Technology Committee.
Okay.
And I have a letter to that effect.
So, do you know Tom?
I don't.
Norfolk Road, I don't know.
Yes, you do, Ron. She was husband.
Oh, I do know. Sorry. Thank you. Nice guy.
Good thing they hear me.
All my friends run a risk. I'll forget about it tomorrow.
Baby.
Into our house.
No, he's a very, very nice person. Just didn't recognize the last name. So I make a motion.
The David and the rest of the committee are on board with this. Is that
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Absolutely.
And you have a letter in your file.
Can you give a motion?
Here's the letter here. Hello, Tom, at our select, oh, this is the one you want me to sign. I thought there was a letter from David.
No, I have an email from you here, it has about one sentence on it, but I didn't.
It has one sentence that says he supports the
It
appointment.
says, like to ask the select board to appoint Tom Henry as the fifth member of the technology committee.
Move on.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Tom Henry of Little Park Road to the Technology Committee as the fifth member.
I'll second that. Any other discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Unanimous. And you signed where the arrow was, Mary. All right. You really dinged off doing the dam business. You've already talked about the special town meeting and liaison reports. I'm skipping around just a little bit.
Yeah, I'm all set.
Good. I don't have anything in particular. The highway department, hopefully this will be the last one.
I knew the minute I saw the plows coming off that there's going to be another.
All right. The rest of the night, we're pretty much going to be talking about fiscal year 15 budget. We're going to be taking up the general government section of the budget, but I know there's quite a few of you here, so just to make it convenient if there's any public comment, if anybody came to discuss anything in particular, if they want to bring it to our attention. Alan?
Yeah. Do I have to stand up until? Oh, okay. Stage Road, Bug Hill, and Watson Spruce Corner. For 20 years, they needed a stop sign coming off Stage Road and coming off Watson Spruce Corner. And there's cars going through there 35, 40 miles an hour, not even thinking about stopping.
Coming off of Stage Road?
Off Stage Road and off of Watson Spruce Corner, both ways, going one way or the other. And that's, I've talked to the selectmen before, 3 police chiefs, and it just doesn't seem to get done. What are we gonna do?
Do you think part of the problem is we're doing too good a job maintaining Stage Road?
No.
And he doesn't speak. I know he stops it.
I stop there.
Yeah, he knows from me.
Well, yeah,
There's a lot
if
of,
you're paying any attention at all, because you have to at least slow down in good shape to look around the house. Right?
well, not really. They just fly.
Folks who are unfamiliar with the road, or?
They're familiar.
Too familiar.
Yeah.
Too familiar.
Well, I'm gonna say,
So,
20 years ago, my wife got hit there, so she's going up and got hit with a stage. But,
it's not the east-west traffic that's a problem.
no, you wouldn't want to put it there because that's a hill for the trucks coming down. You know, that's,
So it's the north-south traffic.
I just don't know what kind of process you have to go through.
Are you... I'm not exactly sure. I think what we need to do is assign it to the highway superintendent and the police chief together.
Okay. Tell them to get something done.
And just so I'm clear, are you proposing that there should be a sign for public safety off of Stage Road or off of Stage Road and
I
Watson
think both ways, I really do. And now we found out you own the land.
where the road is?
Yeah, where it's been jackhammered up there, you put a sign over there.
Yeah, there's been enough investigation on that.
But it's really, I'm surprised there hasn't been more people get it. You know.
Well, I know there's a good amount of traffic that
There is.
is at not low speed. Especially a truck going up that hill, you know, they're getting ahead of steam where they can.
Yeah. But I know I have there's no need of anything, that should be your one way going up and coming on. Whether it's a yield or a stop, I don't care, but there should be something there to tell them I got it. It's like not having a stop sign at the 4 corners.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking I'm not going to probably want to support a flashing light up there.
No.
How about a trailer up there? Does that make sense a little bit, just to see?
I don't get how fast they go, but I wish they'd stop. You know, I don't see the trailer.
Yeah, and it doesn't need to be traffic there all the time, it just if there's traffic there at the wrong time.
But there's a lot of traffic now going east and west. And
Well, I will
see what you can do.
I'll see what I can do to, once it's brought to our attention, it really at least needs to be addressed. But it has to be looked into, so.
Well, that's what I thought. So we're the head of the screen.
Well, good deal. All right, anybody else, public comment? Yes,
Hi there.
hi.
Out at Spruce Corner, by Emmy Streeter's place, they go pretty fast through there. I've had them pass me on the bridge, blind bridge, and I'm doing 25 the speed limit, and they just whiz right by me.
On the bridge.
Yep, the bridge. And coming toward, coming toward Ashfield on 116. You know where Emmy lives, don't you?
Yeah. No, I was just thinking of that bridge. I would hate to have a bicycle pass me on that bridge.
Oh, it's been
Yeah, I know it's been redone,
Yeah.
but it's still,
well, yeah. I
you
was
come
a-
out of those two curves to
Well,
either
that's
way.
it, I was coming from my way. This vehicle came along, didn't like that I was driving 25 miles an hour, which is 25 miles an hour there, and pulled right out and passed me, and I stopped, because it's a blind corner up by where the Streeter Farm is. Just in case the truck wasn't coming around, at least I might stand a chance, but nobody was coming. Took off, and I never saw the car after that. And Emmy gets her mail out by the box. There's only that much for her to stand on before she's out from the side of the road, so they come through there pretty fast.
And that's all posted.
Yep,
And there's
Oh, they
stretches,
don't pay
there's
any
stretches, there's stretches of that road that
they don't pay any
aren't in
attention.
very best repair.
They really need to get out there and aggressively stop and give tickets instead of slapping them on the wrist. And I hope that Emmy doesn't get hit by a car when she's trying to get her mail. That's what I'm worried about.
I was afraid maybe you were saying that drive too fast past your house. I mean,
Oh,
that's a pretty good
I
stretch
take
to
care
get
of that. I
done.
put my stool out there, I get my clipboard, and I write down the whatever car it is, the color, the plate number, and I send it right to Boston. I don't fool around.
When you, on the way out, take the plate number off of my truck, because coming down that hill, it's pretty easy to get going a little quick.
Well, it's 40 miles an hour down the hill anyhow. Even if they go 45, I don't care. When they do 70, because the driveway is where Beverly and Kendall live, and it's a blind driveway. And when they do 50, 60, 70, that's when I take issue with it. And I just take the whole information, send a letter to Boston, and they take care of it.
Well, hopefully these snowbanks will get melted down, and then we can put that trailer to use.
Yeah, I would like to see it out there, I really would, Tom.
What was reported to us last year after we had the trailer was that places, and I'm not saying that that's the case all the time, but what was presented to us is where they put the trailer out, they really couldn't document, out of 100, that it was a very low percentage of the ones that were speeding, but
Yeah, sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't, it just depends.
like you say, you can't stop them for 5 miles. But
I don't care about 5 miles, I don't care if it's 45. Just when they get up to 50, 60, 70, that's a little bit much.
Oh, yes.
When you can't even see the vehicle, it just streaks by. That makes me a little nervous. But I'm in a better situation because my driveway, I can look down the hill and I can look up the hill so I can see if anybody's coming
Right.
at a distance.
You
But
don't even-
Beverly and Kendall don't.
Your trees are on the other side
Yeah.
of the ditch, right? So
Yeah.
you can really get out.
So I can see and be in my driveway.
Good point. I'll make sure to bring that up.
Okay,
Actually, I'll bring up both of those places. That really kind of concerns me about that Spruce Corner Bridge.
yeah, I appreciate it, Tom. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to go right into budget discussion. So all of you that get excited about the budget,
Try getting the question, please.
quickly.
What is the status of what's going on with the vacant house on Main Street, I think it's 295?
That is an excellent question. Oh, no problem.
I realize various committees, et cetera, were working on that, including
I'm not sure what you're talking about. The one-
Voudry, is it Voudrin?
The one across from Viners, or not Viners, I'm sorry,
Almost across from you.
Across the road, yes.
across from Ricky Carroll's. Really, right west of Bill Nash's,
Right.
east of Bill Nash's.
Right.
I don't know what's going on with it, and I wasn't aware that anybody was working at doing anything on the town's behalf.
Well, I think the Water Commission and the Board of Health had been, and I believe the tax
Collector. I couldn't tell you any situation as far as the town's concerned with that, Joanne. I will tell you that out of my kitchen window 3 weeks ago, that I thought it was curious, a gentleman was there and put some signs up on the windows and stepped back and took some pictures of it. But
What kind of signs?
I didn't get over there to look. hold on to it indefinitely. So. Anything else? All right. Let's get on to the budget. General government. You've got, Mary, you've got the requests in of the departments that where it says 15 requests. Those aren't just carried forwards. They're what different departments had asked for, or
I'm sorry, I'm not sure where the 15 requests are.
on the budget sheet, under general government.
Oh, you mean
Department
quite 15 requests?
Isn't that what I said? Fiscal year?
Yeah, I thought you said 15 requests, I missed the fiscal year.
Oh, fiscal year, okay.
Yes. And then the building committee met this afternoon, and after going over the numbers, asked if you would consider a new line under this section for deferred town hall maintenance or deferred maintenance. And that partly came about because both the building committee and the town hall offices draw from the same expenses account. And the town hall offices spend most of it. The building committee doesn't get too much, and they are realizing that a number of jobs.
So what was the requested line?
Well, we just talked about something possibly like deferred maintenance town hall. And I have a list here for you that I will read over. Yeah, it's that one.
Well, the best way for me to handle this is to start from the top. So,
No, I'm sorry, I just found them. It just took me a minute to find the copies. I got some right here.
So, under appeals board, 350, and that's
because
so that's reflecting the additional 200, the 150 from last year plus the 200 that we just voted, saying that that might be the amount for next year. Right?
Right, looking at this year and next year, when I talked to the chair of the ZBA, it was agreed that the number of special hearings are increasing. So,
any comment on that? No. And we decided not to make any changes in stipends, so the assessor's stipends would stay the same. And the assessors have been in already, right? For assessor's clerk and the assessor's expenses.
Yep.
Any questions as we fly down through this? Personnel board, $250. Have they expended any money?
They haven't, and so I'm having trouble doing. Oh, personnel board. They haven't, and so you'll see. I put over in the comments that it's for the personnel policy book, and if not spent, we'll encumber it into the next year, rather than appropriating. We could let it go into cash and appropriate, or we could just encumber it because it was voted as a special item. Same 250. Seemed to make
Well,
sense.
I can't believe that we could encumber that. I mean, with the way Joyce interprets that.
No, we could encumber because it was voted for one special purpose. It's not part of general operating. But we could check or we could do it differently.
Yeah, I don't, I think leaving that blank for now is fine. I can't imagine what the expenses would be, right? When they need to make copies, that's on,
We can do a lot of that
we do a
here.
lot of that here. When they come up with something that needs to go to town council, that's already appropriated. So I think just to put something in there for a placeholder, I'm not, if we can't demonstrate the need.
Right.
Auditor. We have, we voted some out tonight. As of Friday, there was $13,750 left in auditor. And the last audit report was $11,750. And that certainly should be able to be encumbered.
Yes, all of those things are true. Remember with treasurer and accountant, and we looked at what it might cost, that it could be
The
encumbered.
finance committee probably would have something to offer on that, but if we're thinking about a list of things that are going to cost more this year and things that we can cut out to make room for that, I mean,
And what is it in that case?
it certainly seems like this would be it.
Yeah.
So that would be, last year we voted, we voted $6,000.
Right.
But our auditing last year was $11,750. See, we carried forward $19,500. Somehow in the finance committee's plan, we got too much money in there. And we're on this every other year auditing.
Well, we're cutting the pot for the waiver, we got it before.
So is this intended to set money aside
It is,
every year
well,
to meet the every other year need?
well, I mean, with what we're carrying right now, we've got more than twice what we did last year.
What's sitting in there now?
$13,750 minus the 200 and some odd dollars we moved tonight. We can always come back to that, but I have no compunction to add
No,
dollars in there.
absolutely not.
Energy manager, $505. We don't even have the grant or the job description, but we've got money set aside. How does that work? It's what's the magic with 505? Did it have to be more than 500?
That's the grant for the first year requires, I've forgotten, what was it, 10 or was
Is
not?
it 10%, but 5 can be kind of?
Yeah, 5% to be in kind, so the other 5% worked out to whatever, 500 something dollars. But it's also, that is contingent on getting the grant.
Any problem with that, Ron? Conservation Commission, $1,340 instead of $1,300. They didn't come in.
No, but I did meet with Lester, we talked about it, it seemed simple and straightforward.
Seemed
So
appropriate. $1,200 for bonds. Is that what they really cost, or is that just what we appropriate?
bonds here. No, I think that's what it costs each year, because we have people who get bonded.
There's $506 left in it right now.
But I think that another one is renewed before we get to
Before the end of the year?
Yeah, because I did talk to the collector about that, who oversees that.
This $35,910 on buildings and liability insurance, is that an estimate from?
Yeah, it's 5% estimate increase that I got from our rep, talk back. We haven't had a notice. Probably not till April or so when we get something firm.
How are we doing on insurance this year?
We're doing just fine. Let's see.
One of the big things was to get out from under those workman's comp and so forth, not workman's comp, but
Yes,
unemployment.
we have paid the full year property insurance. We have 681 left in the line, that will go back to free cash. Sometimes there's a variance, depending on the early estimate and what comes in eventually, which is not always before town meeting, and it also sometimes depends on credits that we get from them.
I'm just going to ask, the dividends that MIA gives us, does that just deduct the bill, or do they send checks?
I think at all but one time we've deducted it, and one time we got a check that we already made payments and all to take care of it.
Special project staffing.
And this has changed since you last saw it. Let me just catch up to it here. And town clerk said she'd be happy to speak to it if you'd like to talk to her about it as well. Where is it over here? Right. So when you last saw this, town report had been moved up to 11,000 because of the work needed on town report, including editing. Between the last time you saw this and tonight's spreadsheet, town clerk decided that it would be better to have it in special projects. The work that needs to be done on that can be paid out of that line, and then depending on what the bill for that is, the money is also there to use for other.
This line, was this originally part of what we needed to try to answer all the document requests? No.
This preceded.
What's that?
It preceded the document requests, and is for occasional projects that require more time in a set period than is available here. Would you
So
like me to have
it's mainly used to put together the town report?
Mainly, but other things as well. Sometimes we've had some assistance in documents and document destruction. One of the things, even with the hours where they are, is that there are some long-term tasks that we don't get to at all any time of year, except sometimes if we get a little bit of assistance, then a couple of people can do it at once, or 3 people, something. Also, that was another item for that, remember? There's something else that you have used that for. Oh, I know, we've used it, and we also used it for a little bit of Excel improvement and that sort of thing on occasion when we get to needing to do next level. Bring someone in to work with all of us to develop some new techniques.
Well, my guess is that the finance committee, if somebody maybe can make one paragraph, I don't think anybody needs to come in special, but if we're going to appropriate $1,000, at least be prepared to have a good explanation of what it's used for. Town common maintenance, I would leave that empty. I don't, I think we got 2,500 in there. we're gonna spend some money on it this spring and then see what happens from there. I got an idea that $2,500 is gonna be a good portion extra. If Joyce would let us encumber that, that would probably take care of any treatment we want to do next fall also.
And I think it would be special. Actually,
Town Hall accessibility and renovation.
so,
We have $11,147.83 left in that.
right. And that's an amount that was voted out of grant program income and into a line to be available for accessibility and renovation and sometimes other related work on town hall. Looking at this,
I know that we had a chance, we were kind of holding off on that. We were using that capital account before, the town hall fire department, because I was questioning if it, you know, does it really have to do with accessibility, those types of renovations?
and one thing I didn't get to talk to the building committee about is if some of the money in here might be appropriate for some of the projects they've listed that they feel they really need to have some assistance to get done at this point.
I think what would make me comfortable in that, if we could look back, if the town clerk could go back to that vote to see what was discussed as far as was it just as renovation as to do with accessibility, or was it to do with renovation including accessibility?
It was renovation including accessibility because it is an amount that is voted by the select board out of grant program income that came back to the town without any particular restrictions. So, and I can look up the vote, but I remember the idea was to have it serve both.
Do you have any questions or comments on that?
Yeah, basic one. I'm trying to understand the concept of FY transfers. I know it sounds basic to you, but I'm following through our expenditures today, and I'm looking at this, and probably need it appropriately explained to me.
The one that says, going through the expense report, it says, see the second line there, the second column says budget revisions.
Right.
Most of those budget revisions in there are monies that are pulled ahead from the previous year and put in there.
Just automatically, they don't need an SDA.
Well, we had to make a case, somebody had to make a case to the town accountant.
But not to the town floor.
Right. So those were, you know, just like dam maintenance.
Yeah.
Okay, if you voted, what did we vote, 15,000 or 20,000, whatever it is, and you only spend 8 of it, you only get that much done, the other $12,000 or whatever that sum, you encumber that money.
To keep it in place.
Instead of sending it back to free cash so we can borrow it, so we can vote it again, we're just carrying that ahead.
So the transfer is encumbered money going forward, basically.
But you cannot encumber operations budgets, general operations.
As in, give me an example.
We wouldn't be able to encumber postage or
administrative assistant salary.
Any of the salaries or the utilities for the number for the year or the maintenance for the year. So if it's a general operations, it cannot be encumbered. That goes back to free cash. If it was voted and appropriated for a specific definable purpose and that purpose hasn't been accomplished, you can keep carrying it forward until it is.
If we take the auditor, just for example, and who made that decision that it shows up on this column as transfer? Is that the treasurer? Accountant. So in our case, we know that they typically cost $11,000, $12,000, right? Every 2 years, theoretically. So,
well, see, that's what we had the debate about last year, was that we were trying to go to every other year. And of course, the RDA loan for the highway garage
requires every year.
Requires every year, so it wasn't until well after town meeting that we got a decision right from RDA
Right.
that they would let us
Well,
go
in
every
fact,
other
we had
year.
asked in the prior budget year, and they had said no. Then, this past year, they said they were ready to grant a waiver.
So is it of your mind, like in this one example, this 19,500, to say there could be excess there that doesn't need to go forward? For example, the auditor.
In the auditor,
Yeah. I mean, is there a cushion of 4 or 5?
well, see, we've already spent, I mean, there's not 19.5 left in there,
Right.
right? When we go back to the expense report, there's only 13,750.
All these
And
transfers
we've
are part of
spent-
their FY14 total.
And so we spent 11,750. So we're close, we're good. I mean,
So is this incorrect, this 19,500 or
that's
not?
what it was, that's what was moved in there. We voted 6,000 from taxation, and 19,500 was transferred ahead from the year before.
Okay.
So we're left with enough money, it sounds like we've got enough money to actually do the next audit whenever that falls.
Right.
Remember,
Okay.
the audit we just paid for was 12/13,
Right.
and we paid for it in 14.
Okay. Sorry. I'm
No,
upset
don't be sorry. I mean, you gotta kind of refer to both the expense
now. Yeah, I
report
know, I
and
can
the
see
other.
that now.
At some of the transfers will be amounts that may have been voted at a special town meeting during.
That I understand, yeah.
But until we find out where the 13,000, the 12,986 that we have right now in accessibility and renovation, right now there's 11,147.83 in accessibility and renovation. I think that line is probably a little suspect because didn't Stuart say that the steeple needs about $80,000 worth of?
84, 35.
I'm hoping he's as far off as Tommy is on the grader.
Yeah. Take care of each other.
So I'm going to leave that open until we can have some discussion on that. And a lot of it's going to be trying to figure out how the budget's going to come together. But
And so, if I may clarify, since the building committee was asking to consider that they would need 5,000 that wouldn't be in with general maintenance, that they could count on and spend and use. Would you like to see a line for that before the next meeting? Would you prefer not to and have a discussion? And/or would you like to see if that can dovetail with the town hall accessibility renovation?
well, let's read this note that was. So this is Town Hall Building Committee.
Mm-hmm.
And their request is for $5,000 from Fred Cross for rust removal and repaint of 2 restrooms and janitor's closet. Walls, fixtures, and doors. And then they have another request for another $5,000 for the Town Hall Building Committee to be used for town hall repairs, deferred maintenance, examples. What's this repair? I can't read it.
Include repair?
No, include
Seating and
repairs,
other
seating in Upper Town Hall, the old slatted benches and chairs, other
Wooden chair repair?
chairs, wooden chairs, and replace broken soap dispensers,
Towel dispensers.
provide and install additional shelving in the janitors, waiting for a quote for stage curtains. We don't still have the asbestos curtains up there, do we? I didn't think so.
I don't think there's anything up there now. What was up there was in such bad shape that they've removed them. They were basically disintegrating.
Well, we got so many things going on. I mean, and I don't know if Fred Cross could take a beating of $5,000 every year. We just took that money out of Fred Cross tonight.
One of the things that came up in the discussions today with the building committee is that over the last 2 or 3 years in the budget process, we've collapsed and recombined some lines at different times. You know, there was once town hall utilities, town hall maintenance, and so forth. Now, at one point, it was all moved to town hall expenses with some sub-accounts. But and then this year, there's a suggestion here to change it again a little bit. But we have ended up with, I think it's 12,000 available for town hall maintenance, but that also includes machine maintenance. It includes some of the contracts we pay and so forth. And so the town hall office's use takes up most of that fund. The building committee has put through a few little items on it, but they don't really have much to work with. For a long time, they thought they would be able to get volunteers or be able to volunteer more time themselves, but everybody's pretty maxed out, and the work is past meeting done, and I think they feel they need to be able to hire to have some of the work done.
So last year we voted $12,900 for town hall. This says town hall expenses.
Right.
And on the expense report it says town hall maintenance.
As one of the sub-accounts. I think office supplies and
There's town hall utilities, maintenance, steward, 12,900. There's $3,800 left.
right, so right now when you look at town, not utilities, we look at town hall maintenance, that also includes office supplies. Including office supplies often for beyond the offices here. So some other departments in town use some of that.
An example would be fire department,
An example would be
police department, okay. Housing and assessors. Assessors.
Tom's not very well. Mostly the schools.
So on the second page where right at the top you have collector expenses, legal expense, then town hall expenses, town hall office supplies. You see that this year the offices, when we sat down to look at all of this, suggested breaking that out again, because having office supplies and expenses in together in one line with more than one authority to draw on the line risks that the balances in the sub-accounts are off, or requires a lot of coordination, often with people who aren't here very often.
Who aren't coordinated? How we got backed into this last year to change all these accounts around and then make it unmanageable.
And the suggestions here can be carried forward or not, but we have found that where accounts are combined and there's no one manager, it can become just difficult.
Ron, what do do you think?
Having a hard time thinking it all tonight, just because of my
Yeah, well,
situation there. So I'm just sticking it out to the board official. I do recall the discussion last year along those lines about breaking them out, and I thought there was the wisdom at the time, but if there isn't now, then
My inclination is that we leave the accounts the same, because it causes a bit of consternation at town meeting that people can't follow from one year to the next what the hell's going on.
Which was an argument against making some of the changes we made, but, and I agree, more often it happens, the more difficult it is to trace.
And I don't have any doubt that the town hall needs a lot of work and maintenance, but we're gonna have to prioritize some of this. I mean, I have spent time trying to think about 85,000 for the steeple and trying to wrap my head around how that's gonna work. So I really think
Would you like me to-
myself that before we vote any more money for town hall maintenance, we have to be able to pin what it's going to be used on. Because one thing we can't do is start appropriating a lot of money that isn't going to be spent. We
Right.
can't go and appropriate $80,000 with the idea that we're only going to have time to spend 10 or 12.
Right, remember, most of town hall expenses, even what you call maintenance, is regular and recurring items that are just your straightforward cost to most.
I would leave all of that, everything that we're charging in there that is run-of-the-mill. I mean, as far as painting the restrooms, I don't think that's a special project. I think that's town hall maintenance.
But we don't, then we don't have enough in there because we are using most of that account for our hair event, for regular,
Then we need to put more money in it.
we can do it that way.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it
I mean,
does.
routine painting and maintenance, you know, removing rust and painting the
Should have its own
restrooms
line
should
item.
have its own line item.
I think, again, the part of the issue was the building committee thought that that money was appropriated for them because of the items that have gone into it traditionally. It's not a lot of it is the office and our regular contracts and maintenance and so forth. And so I think there's
There's a
just needs a little
coordination.
more thought on how to break it up so that they have some money they can go ahead with
Yep.
at times and make plans without,
And all that takes is a certain amount of communication.
you know,
A certain amount of, I would like to at least leave it for one more year
okay.
with the accounts that we've got out. If we need to put extra money in to take something that has been ignored, let's do that.
So let me see if I understand. Should we take, should I take, before the next meeting, budget meeting, town hall expenses and town hall office supplies, which I just created a second line this year based on the discussion in the offices to bring forward, but can be undone quickly. Combine those two and consider whether or not you want to add some
So
of
that, if you
some of the
combine
costs.
those two, that's 13,000.
Mhm.
And what's on this page is 10. So I would make that line $20,000 and see where it sugars off.
Okay. And just
That's a good starting place.
Is that what we did last year? No, it isn't.
No, we went through a really long,
Breakout.
yeah, to try to get there, but
and just call it all town hall
but it
expenses.
looks, I mean, is anybody thinking that what we have in town hall maintenance right now, that $3,800 isn't going to get us to the end of the year?
Yes, no, it isn't, and they were planning on doing a number of items, and when we went over today, there isn't enough left.
Any of those that could be charged to renovation, the renovation account?
Well, I guess that's a question, and I didn't think of that this afternoon. Can some of that go to
To the
be
renovation?
voted out by the select board in an ongoing way?
Well, as far as I can see, it's appropriate.
It
The
is,
select board already voted to put it in that account.
right, but nobody has authority to draw on this particular line to authorize spending for this particular lot, apart from the select board as far as I know. But maybe that's not true. That's a question, I guess.
I think that the select board was the only one that had authority. So I should
take
say
it out
that
of GPR.
select board has the authority to go from grant program income and to place it into another
That's right.
account.
That
And I
is-
think whoever decides to be in charge, ultimately the select board, right?
Mhm.
To charge something to that account, that can happen.
Mhm.
Okay, I think the authority of the select board is to move it from grant program income to the account. Once
Well,
it's
that-
in that account,
But once it's in the account, is it for the building committee to spend as they wish? Is it for town hall offices where they see maintenance?
I would expect, in our discussion that we've had already, if it has to do with renovation, it would have to do with town hall bigger projects. It wouldn't be rehanging a toilet paper dispenser. Right? It would be something,
Right, whose judgment, you know, we have dispensers downstairs, they fall, they drop everything out, they take back up. So the downstairs, all through the downstairs, there are a lot of really, who is making these decisions?
I imagine the select board would have.
On spending?
I just mouthed that I was thinking that, I could make that decision pretty fast if I had to, but
I mean, I think any of us could, it's just that it's unclear whether a number of people can independently charge something to that or not, so that's...
I think we're overcomplicated. I think it's become overcomplicated. I think what we need to do, is have the town hall building committee come in and kind of discuss where we need to be. Because I bet that renovation, there are big enough projects, specific projects that we could justify being against that.
Or it could be held as part of the town hall steeple, or it could be used for large bathroom projects in smaller amounts, I guess.
I think we're a lot more flexible than we like to think we are.
See, the complication comes to this. Listen to Mary break these things out individually. It's a nice way to document what the money is to be spent for. The other way you could do it is put it in a larger line item and have some kind of documentation behind the scenes saying what we agreed to, like this, like 5,000. But we shouldn't, in my mind, have to approve hanging a toilet paper dispenser. It should just get done. Right? I mean, doesn't that, we're already approving it, we're setting the money aside.
And I may not be explaining this correctly, it's just that line sits there, and it is not clear. Can the building committee just go out and spend all 12,000 as they see fit tomorrow, or not? If the offices identify something as a maintenance issue.
But what I was saying,
if that money had been moved there, after February 6th of last year, I probably could get you a lot clearer understanding of that. But it wasn't.
Right, it was moved earlier, and I think it was to do some projects here, moving things around, trying to create more storage space, which hasn't really happened. I know town clerk is looking at purchase storage units because we have severe storage issues. But I at least am unclear who says, yes, the building committee can use this much right away, this much is available for town clerk to buy storage units. Most of the other lines are pretty clear. When this was voted out, there were a set of things that were intended to be done. Some of them were done, some have not been. They're still out there to be done. In the meantime, other work is now added to the list.
one of the things you might want to deploy, this is an Excel worksheet, right? Have you ever used edit comment in Excel?
I don't think
It's
so.
a way you can right-click on a cell, and you can put in a comment. So if you had, say, $12,000 in that cell, you could say 6,000 for town hall maintenance, you could say 6,000 for back office, and you can even break that 6,000 into 3,000 for this, 3,000 for that. And what happens is the cell lights up with a little triangle in the corner, so you know there's a comment. And when you just put your cursor over the cell, you don't even have to click, you see the comment. And you can edit it and stuff like that, too.
Right, but now, one of the reasons we moved to combining lines was so that we would have fewer special town meetings. At one point,
Right.
everything was in sort of its own law.
And it needed an
And it
act
needs
of Congress to
right.
transfer.
So we do that now with sub-accounts, and the accountant keeps track of the sub-accounts, which are made up of the best estimates of what went in to make, say, town hall expenses, which includes a couple of different items. So I don't know if that's...
Yeah, that makes a little bit of a difference, too, I suppose. Because the sub-accounts aren't here, right? They're not here.
No, they're not here, and they're not even on the expense sheet.
That's what I meant.
So, what I think we need to do is have a night, not all night. Matter of fact, if there was a preliminary meeting with one of us and somebody from the town hall building committee and the steward, to figure out what projects are where and have a presentation to us, and we could make a decision. Project A, Q, and Y can go, we feel that those can be charged to town hall renovation. And I think the additional, that's why I say plug into the account strategy we have now. Plug $20,000 in there. That'll be $7,000 more than this year. And it may not settle at $20,000, right? It may not. It may not settle when we try to get everything inside the box, but that'll help take care of some of this that when I read it has nothing to do with renovation of the town hall.
It's maintenance.
And this is above and beyond. I mean, in the 13,000, there was some real maintenance dollars in there also, routine maintenance dollars.
Yes, and this is what they're calling deferred maintenance, which is things that have built up over time and are more than just what we put into the numbers for the ongoing.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Do you want a motion for that, or do you?
No, I don't think we need a motion for that, because we're going to come back and discuss this so many times.
So you're going to go out, are you volunteering to do that?
To meet with
To meet with the...
town hall meeting with Stewart? Yes.
Okay, good.
And what I'll do is I'll volunteer to do it before our next meeting,
Budget.
so we can meet, not our next budget meeting, but before our next select board meeting.
Okay.
And we'll have them come in, and we'll put them on, if we can get a representative or more than one representative from the committee, we can do that. So then we can meet as a select board, have a strategy to present to the finance committee.
Sounds like a plan.
So we spent a lot of time on that, didn't really get anywhere, except that we know we're gonna plug $20,000 into that town hall maintenance.
And recombine, so it's just town hall expenses. So that we don't have town hall expenses and town hall supplies separately.
Yeah. God knows where it'll end up. Okay. Postage will probably have to be $700, right? It was $650 this year, probably have to be $700.
Actually, the postage we're not funding this year.
We did $650 last year. Oh, it says remove line in fiscal year 16.
Oh, and that means remove the whole line. In other words, we're not putting anything into that this year.
Okay.
And next year, there won't be the line at all. It's only there now, so that you can see that we appropriated something last year. And it has that little line in it, which means a zero has been plugged into that.
So where's the postage, or is this a federal program?
Postage is, we found out during the year that it's taken care of by the
By the
other budgets.
Other departments.
Yeah.
Information tech expenses.
And for example,
Did we go over that last week? With IT? Did we talk about budget with them?
we did. Information tech expenses, that's the number they put in, the 11.6. That's what they requested. And then over on the second page, in the town hall utilities line, you'll see that last year's 18,000 has been reduced to 13,000.
That's right.
This year, because the 5 that was in there for phone and internet.
We'll go fiber optic. Okay, planning board. Now, our discussion with IT, computers. The computer replacement is 11.6. Or do we need to still have money in for computers to take care of stuff that they don't want, the day-to-day stuff that they don't want to be involved in?
No, I think that would cover any computer replacements. We did an inventory, we could check back into them before we finish that number. That is accepting on occasion, for example, some of the computer needs of the assessors.
How come so much for elections next year? Is there something going on in November this year?
Yes. Election season.
$4,000.
Are you going?
Holy cow, there's only a few.
We're looking at
buses
some of the
for-
general government stuff right
And
now.
wait until early voting. And you'll have 10 days prior to your date of election. And that will increase.
See, there's nothing more foolish than that, because everybody knows nothing gets accomplished until the last minute.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's pretty true.
Pretty true. Yeah, there's a couple of additional elections in that time frame.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Don't slash it.
Don't splash it. Not while you're here.
Yeah.
Street list, municipal town clerk,
These numbers are all from
those
you.
are all town clerk expenses, up $100. Town report, how do we publish a town report for $600?
Well, we don't, and that's why, do you want to address town report, special projects, the fact that we moved it into town report and then moved it back out to
We
special
do
projects?
two things. It's printed by the sheriff's department, and that's why you see that column. We have reduced the number that we print because the demand is not there for the printed copy. We print about 250. We put it online, and we can print it as a 8.5 by 11 also. So we've been doing it for the past few years, and it has worked, and we have some still left over. Favorite edits it because we do need an editor separate to everything that everyone here does, and that's the cost that we had pulled and put it into that from special projects. But thinking about that, it doesn't make sense because it's not a fixed cost, but we have an idea of what it was in comparison to last year. But if we leave it in town reports and it's unused, and it could be advantageous to take advantage of that small piece that may be there for training or computer skills in particular, then it's much better, and we moved it out and put it back into special projects for that reason.
So our special projects is down, you know, it was 15, 22, we're talking about $1,000.
Correct.
But town report's still 600.
Yes. That's the estimate for this year and next year, and it moves a little bit, but it hasn't moved. I talked to him. Yeah, so.
Thank you. Unless you have something wrong. No. We're got it on the run here, this is general government. I appreciate you holding on. Legal expense, We got about $3,000 left in legal expense.
We have 2.6.
Yeah, $2,600. So that 10,000 seems to be a fair figure. Next collector expense, steward, we're gonna leave that the same, that's a stipend. Town hall utilities. How do we vote on that? Town hall utilities. We got $6,200 left. We start getting our credits, our big discount from the electricity off the solar panels. So there might be a little wiggle room in there. Well, actually, no. We
It's
appropriated
66.80.
$18,610 last year. And now we've got $13,610.
Because 5 last year was accounting for telephone and internet expenses.
Correct.
On the other hand, town hall utilities is at 66.80, and those come in every month, so it seems likely that there won't be anything left, or not much, I think.
So it's a pretty good budget. The chair, select board stipends are the same. Select board expenses.
That we don't use much of right now. It stands at, well, 1,000. So we've used...
We used 1,000 of it.
We've used it for advertising in some cases, notices that have to go in. I used it, since I don't have an expense line, I used it for belonging to small town administrators and that sort of thing. I think select board members can put in for reimbursement. Sometimes you get gifts to go to other meetings, like the Select Men's Association.
And the last one I'm on is tax title, and there's $16,001.50 carried ahead from fiscal year 13, and we still have $15,014. So, I mean, that's a good sign that the tax collector hasn't had to use that. When you see Laura, let's just see what she needs to do. I mean, I know we can't approach since that was encumbered. See, here's one of those deals. When it's encumbered forward, and then you decide you don't use it, the accountant won't let you vote out of that to do something else. It's got to go back to free cash. Correct?
Can't change your mind.
So it's all kind of a hornet's nest. I don't know who decided that. I mean, I always thought a little bit of home rule and town meeting could do about what they wanted. But
it's not true.
But DOR and DLS had other things.
they got it.
But clearly last year, I mean, she's only used 1,000, right? 6% of that, 16,000. So you'd have to question.
Well, she had big ideas on taking people to tax, you know, to.
And either she hasn't or she didn't have to.
She didn't have to.
But maybe she hasn't. So.
Well, she's done something on it, obviously, but pretty small compared to what her original thought was. Somebody will normally belly when they get a letter.
So maybe we don't need that much in there?
Well, we didn't appropriate any last year, so it doesn't save us on the levy.
And we're not intending to appropriate it.
Does that sound like we got through it?
I think so.
That gets through the section called General Government. Let's see what the Finance Committee thinks of it. And I'll make sure I get together with Town Hall. You've got a couple questions to ask. Next week with Finance Committee, Ted's not going to be here, but he says that Tom and David have committed to be here at least. Okay.
Next week we're going to go over some August minutes. 2000.
Next week's a budget meeting.
Oh, that's right. The week after.
The week after, we're going to go through
August 2012.
Oh, yeah.
Good God.
assistance.
Yeah, I mean, I stated it last week how disinterested I was in it, but
So,
they should get done.
yep, they're
But,
about halfway done.
you know, at what point do you stop digging back through all that?
I think we're there. I think we're done. I hope we are.
So, all right, any other business tonight? Any mail? It's 9:36.
Oh, yes, sorry, this is a letter that came in just after the last meeting. Molly was going to try to get it to me in time to bring to the meeting, but
So this came on Wednesday, February 26th at 6:25 p.m. from Molly Robinson to the Select Board. I am not able to come out tonight to the Select Board meeting, but I just learned of the proposal to add panels to the Town Hall tower to enhance internet access in town. And I understand that that may be discussed tonight. Although I am aware of the need for improved internet access, I am distressed that this would need to happen by additions to our historic and beautiful Town Hall. Is there any other possible place that these panels could go, or could there be a public meeting? Well, that's exactly what we did, Molly. We discussed this before actions are taken. With many thanks for your care in considering this issue, Molly Robinson, former Historical Society Chair and former Town Common Committee Chair.
So would you let her know of the public hearing, just in a response?
Yep,
Yeah, that would be great if we did that.
and I'll let her know that we did read the letter at this meeting, because I emailed her after the last meeting and said it didn't get into the meeting, so. And that's the letter.
Dear Chief Municipal Official, small businesses represent the backbone and catalyst of economic stability and growth both locally and nationally. This is the office of the Select Board in Dartmouth, Massachusetts. Oh my God, they have 5 members to the Select Board. As the economic challenges of the last decade drag on, municipal governments share a common purpose in seeking reform within our Commonwealth's commercial and industrial business tax classification. Dartmouth, as I am certain in your community, we value both the small and larger businesses. Both play a vital economic role within our community. Therefore, we want both to flourish. Our economy depends on having competition within our business sectors, competing for every citizen's dollar. Society cannot afford smaller businesses closing their doors because they cannot economically compete with their larger counterparts. Currently, communities in the Commonwealth have very little room to provide relief to small businesses who often lack the financial resources to effectively compete. The current small business exemption allows for companies with valuations less than $1 million and who have less than 10 employees to be eligible for a 10% tax credit. The credit is then pushed within the CIP to larger companies in the community. So in other words, that tax credit is paid by the larger communities. It's what we call a progressive tax system, right? The Dartmouth Select Board has asked our legislative delegation to support a modification within the current state tax classification. The proposed modification would seek to allow municipalities to expand the small business tax exemption. We have asked our delegation to support legislation which provides municipalities the options of expanding the current tax exemption from 10 to 20% of their respective tax bill, allowing communities to expand the assessed value exemption from $1 million to $2 million, we're talking about small businesses, right? We're talking about going from $1 million to $2 million. Increasing the number of employees a small business can have to qualify for exemption from 10 to 20 employees. businesses play a vital role within our communities, blah, 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 providing competition, let's do it right. We only have one tax rate. Everybody pays the same tax rate in Ashfield. There's not a residential and a business. So,
Yeah, I couldn't tell, that makes that essentially relevant, no interest in responding.
I don't see an interest here tonight.
I'll set that.
But reading that, I have to say, it reminds me of one of the first guys I ever worked for. It was an old guy who came to me, and he says, you know, it's a strange business environment. He says, when somebody sees somebody else get in a bad position, everybody else rushes for that same position. And I think that's what that sounds like, is that the little guy, well, what we want to do is make some of the bigger guys little guys, so it can all just keep getting shuffled up the chain. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. To me. Anyway, motion to adjourn?
One last thing.
Go ahead.
Paulette submitted something a while ago, and I'm not sure if it was at a budget committee or at a budget hearing or a regular select board, but it was on rates and such. It was a worksheet.
That was our last select board meeting.
And I had something I have seen that FERCog had some differences on it. And so at some point, we need to modify that form, or tell, that form, I think, is inconsistent. And I think we should address that at some point and address those inconsistencies, or at least say inaccurate on it, because it's now, because she handed it out at a select board meeting, it is now an official document in our minutes, but it's inaccurate, I think.
But it's not in the minutes that we approved.
I think it is.
It's in the minutes we approved tonight.
It's on the document.
Yes.
It is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think we need to bring it up at some point, and I believe the right way to address that is that it's not consistent with the FERCog.
But it's not consistent with reality. In other words, it has numbers that do not match with what people are paid. For example,
It's incorrect.
that was my impression,
It's wrong.
too.
it's not subjective, these are hard numbers.
Right. I mean, I haven't studied it, but I know that there are differences certainly between the FERCog and.
But also between our own payroll.
Right. Not even comparing it to the FERCog, just the reality of the numbers are incorrect.
Right.
They're not right.
The number
You
for
mean
town
the
clerk.
numbers that were generated in
For
town, forget about anybody else's.
Absolutely. On that document, they're incorrect. They do not reflect what we have.
I thought it was inaccurate also.
Or the hours we work, or what is compared with.
Right, if you just look at the Ashfield information, there are a number of incorrect
They're incorrect numbers.
numbers.
So nobody, okay.
Incorrect numbers.
And so I think the concern is if it's now a public document part of the record and somebody asked for a copy and then it was, I don't know, passed around or was floating around just before town meeting or something, it is simply incorrect on the Ashfield information.
What I would suggest that we do is discuss it when Paulette can be here, and simply amend the minutes if she agrees, and to say inaccurate, just right across it like a big watermark on it, so that anyone going into that record at some point in time doesn't take it as gospel, because it's inaccurate. It needs to have a mark across it and a reference to the accurate document. And it just causes a little bit more work, but they're not accurate the way they're documented now. And I was going to bring it up when we reviewed the minutes, and I did think I saw that, but we have to deal with that now. Unfortunately, it's a small change. but we can kick it around maybe at the next meeting and make an amendment to it. Unless you have a better idea.
I definitely think it needs to be addressed. And I try, right, at these budget meetings, not to have a lot of these, what some might think, ancillary, peripheral type decisions that aren't directly to the budget. But I think we could put this on the agenda for next Monday night at the budget meeting. Because the finance committee,
They received a
copy. And I think we need to have some clarification on that, and that would be a good thing. If it needs to be clarified, it should be clarified next week.
I agree.
Is that?
I think that's appropriate. We can kick around how to clarify
So
it at that point.
So the town hall is in Tuesday for this budget agenda. We want to bring up wage and salary comparison, personnel board draft, or personnel board. I mean, they didn't give it to us as a draft.
No.
I don't believe it was presented as a draft. And so we want to discuss that and the FERCog. Because we need to have some type of material to reference as we go through the budget.
What do you mean on the third one?
Well, I think we want to discuss both of them.
Wage and salary, exactly, okay.
Right?
Yep.
Does that sound
It
appropriate?
does. Mary, you're closer to that data. Can you present it? I mean, is this something I need to do, or can you do that?
No, they can do that.
Okay. I mean,
We just need to be versed in it so we can.
Okay. Good.
Might want to touch base with Ted on it, just so he can.
Yeah.
Anything else? That's a good catch.
That's
one we can take care of next week.
Yeah.
Who do we have coming in next week on budget?
It is mainly the school, most of it is devoted to the school budget. However, Diane Wilder is going to come back. I think she was asked to come back.
At some point, yes.
At some point. I'm trying to remember if there was someone else who was going to come back, but I guess I'd have to look at that folder.
Well, I think if we've got schools, we can go over general government with the finance committee, and we should be driving it into a corner so we have some idea of how full or overflowing the box is.
I just thought of another one for next week is that Bill Perlman does now have an estimate on the, let me back up. It's not for FY15 budget. Actually, I think it's the next select board meeting he'd like to come in with an estimate on the tower. So
This is, we're talking about radios again.
we're talking about radio tower.
Town clerk, you need to, what's the date you need to know about questions on the ballot?
At least I have to have ballots ready 45 days before the election, and because I have to create it and then send it to be notified for the Aldermar, I need more time because it all is a process.
So you need them by tomorrow?
Exactly.
Or you need them right after the caucus?
Absolutely, right after caucus. If you're having a question, I will be asking you for it. And I know that's difficult, but unfortunately, that's just the way it is, with the timing of the dates.
So caucus is next Tuesday.
Correct.
So we need to make a decision by next month, the Monday following.
That would be great. Yes.
Okay, so that probably is going to be the budget discussion.
On Monday, to be
You know,
prepared to have.
As far as Diane coming in, I don't think we need Diane.
All right, that's fine. I'll go to
Those are going to be some pretty big questions as far as what we need for debt exclusions or override, and so we got to kind of get a handle on the box,
Yeah.
the 2.5 business. All right?
Right.
Anything else? All right. Motion to adjourn
At 9:50,
at 9:50.
so move.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're done.